Zach is back. It's the Zach Gelb Show on Fox Sports 920 The Jersey.
All right, welcome back in. Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920 The Jersey. 609-919-9200 is the number if you want to hop on board with us. One of the best stories in college basketball right now is the Princeton Tigers basketball team. 14-0 in the Ivy, 17 straight games, and they're looking to make it 18 in a row on Saturday in the semifinals of the Ivy League tournament as they'll be playing Penn at the Palestra. And now joining us is their senior forward, and that's Stephen Cook, who's kind enough to hop on board right now on the Zach Gelb Show. Stephen, appreciate the time. Congratulations, and how are you?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I'm excited. Should be a great weekend.
No doubt about that. It definitely should be. And this is a tournament you guys win in the regular season. Now you're expected to win it in the postseason. You know that. But let's first reflect. 14-0 in the Ivy, that's perfect. Regular season champions. I know it would mean more probably in a little bit of the earlier years, but now you have to go through this Ivy League tournament. But reflect for me real quickly. What has this run been like to get regular season champions in the Ivy?
It's been amazing so far. And, you know, like you said, we still have the tournament to look forward to, but 14 still means a lot to us. You know, I've been here for 3 years before now, and you know, that's how the league's always been. It's always been whoever wins the regular season is champs, and you know, it felt good to hold that trophy on Saturday.
The hard work, because this has been an up and down season from the start. You guys lose two good players in Hans and Caruso. You play some pretty tough teams. You get off to that sloppy 4-6 start, but ever since, you guys haven't lost the game. Just take me through the character of this team and then also the hard work that you guys put in on a daily basis.
Yeah, absolutely. This isn't the storyline we drew up at the beginning of the year. Like you mentioned, Hans and Henry are both not with us, and that happened pretty early on in the season. So you know, it really forced the other seniors to sort of step up and to take leadership roles that they might not have been expecting before. But you know, this team persevered. You know, we really came together, and we had some younger guys step up too with Miles Stevens and Devin Kennedy. So. You know, everybody sort of played their role, even if it isn't what they were expecting from the beginning of the year, and it's worked out for us.
This is your last ride in your final year at Princeton, and we all know in sports you're going to have to overcome adversity. This team has been the definition of that. As a senior leader, when you guys got off to that sloppy start, what did you say to the guys in practice, or did you just lead more by example?
A little bit of both. You know, I just tried to stay consistent with what I was doing, but I mean, the whole philosophy of our team is you can really only control what's right in front of you. So no matter what happens, injuries, few tough losses beginning of the year, you know, all we can do is look forward to the next practice, the next game, or you know, even the next rep. So you know, that's sort of the culture we've instilled here, and I think it's paid off for us.
What was the turning point of this season, if you have to look back at one moment where you knew that this team was going to turn things around?
It really felt like Bucknell that game. I mean, it was the beginning of our win streak that we're on now, and it was right before Christmas. But that game really felt like everything started clicking. You know, Miles and Devin both had great games, and started to step up into the roles that they're in now. And that was really the game where everything came together. You know, we beat a good Bucknell team at their place, and we haven't really looked back since.
No doubt about that. You guys have won 17 in a row, and you guys should be winning some more, and hopefully you get into the NCAA tournament. With this 17-game win streak, what has it been like for you just to be a part of this, winning 17 straight games in a row is obviously no light accomplishment?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, it wasn't really the storyline we drew up, and you know, we're saying now, like, remember when we were 4-6 at the beginning of the season, and all of a sudden, you know, we're on the win streak we're on now. But I mean, it's been amazing. But we've really just taken it game by game. You know, every Ivy League game, you can't look past the one that's right in front of you, because anybody can sneak up on you and beat you, especially these days. And so that's the attitude we're taking into this weekend.
You have a lot of hardworking and gritty players on this team, and also a lot of unselfish players, and that's what makes this story so fun with the 17-game win streak. Let's take a look a little bit at Amir Bell. He was a starter in the beginning of the season, then was asked to come off the bench. Just how about your relationship with Amir and just his unselfish personality on the court?
Yeah, I mean, you said it. He's one of the most unselfish people and one of the most unselfish teammates I've ever played with. and he's unbelievably talented at the same time. But that's kind of been the culture of our team. Anybody can do it at any point, and Amir was satisfied with whatever role he was going to play for our team as long as he can help us win. And he's really stepped up this Ivy League season. I mean, he's made some incredible plays. The shot last weekend at Harvard. You can't ask much more from a teammate than what Amir's done for us.
Stephen Cook with us right now on the Zach Gelb Show. Princeton and Penn this Saturday at 1:30 at the Cathedral of College Basketball, the Palestra. Such a fun environment. Can't wait to see Princeton and Penn on Saturday in the semifinals. You played Penn twice this year. You have 2 wins, but you personally have struggled up against them. The first time around, you got in some foul trouble, had 5 points, and then the second time around, you didn't even get a bucket in that game. For you, how do you turn it around personally when you go up against Penn on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean it's always a rivalry game. It's always a lot of amped up guys on our team for it, and personally I have the same approach every game. So I mean sometimes the ball's falling, sometimes it's not, but I'll approach the game the same way I've approached every game so far, and hopefully I'll be due on Saturday for a good game against them.
This is new, the conference tournament, the first year that they're having it in the Ivy League. This week, what has practice been like leading up to the game?
We're definitely looking forward to this weekend, and with what's at stake, there's been a lot of focus, a lot of intensity. Guys are really focused on the details of what it's going to take to win. Whether it's scouting report, whether it's getting a particular drill right, but there's a lot of focus, and guys want to win this weekend, so they're going to do whatever it takes the week before to prepare.
We were talking a little bit earlier about how new the conference tournament is in the Ivy. A year ago, you guys would already have punched your ticket to the NCAA tournament. Now this is newer. I know you're a competitor. Do you like the concept of the Ivy League tournament?
Absolutely. I mean, I've wanted it ever since I've been here. It's not ideal that the year we win the league in the regular season that we have the tournament this year, but I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait, and I think it's the best thing for the league. There's a lot of hype, a lot of energy around the games that are going to happen this weekend, and I think people, in the area are definitely really excited about the game. So, a lot of good stuff is happening for the league, so I can't complain.
And whenever you have a game at the Palestra, it's special. It's such a prestigious building, the Palestra. It's a history museum, basically, when you walk in there. And now you're playing Penn. We all know that's where they play their regular season games, and it's not a far drive from Princeton to Philadelphia. It should be a fun atmosphere on Saturday, Stephen.
Yeah, that's for sure. It'll probably, based on what Coach has been saying, it'll be reminiscent of what the experiences he had there playing in the 90s when it was packed for every game. Penn Princeton sort of ran the Ivy League, so I'm excited. I'm excited to experience that for myself.
You mentioned your coach, and Mitch Henderson has just done a phenomenal job at his tenure at Princeton, and we had him on last week, and we were talking about the relationships that form just through sport, how you come in as a freshman and then he sees you all your way up until your senior year. Just describe your relationship a little bit to me about you, Stephen Cook, with your head coach, Mitch Henderson.
Yeah, I mean, he gave me the opportunity to come here, and he's taught me a lot along the way. And he's created a family culture here where, everybody on the team is really close. We're hanging out all the time. And a lot of times when you spend that much time with the head coach or with your teammates, you can't wait to get away. But that's not how it is here, and that's not what my relationship is with Coach. I think all of us are really close with him. We all know what's going on in his family and in his personal life, and he knows the same about us. And so, I think that's really beneficial. Has been really beneficial for our team, and that's one of the reasons we're so close.
When you look back at the Stephen Cook that walked into Princeton University when you were a freshman to now, how different of a person are you?
I'd say completely changed. Every time a freshman comes here, you have no idea what's going on. You're just trying to follow the guys in front of you, whether that's on the court, in school or whatever else you're doing here, and you sort of figure it out. But that adversity really changes you as a person, and you feel like you can sort of handle anything after going through that, and that's the benefit of coming to this university. That's the benefit of playing Princeton basketball, and I was lucky enough to be a part of that for 4 years.
You're from Illinois, and I know your high school coaches, they would watch a lot of practices at Northwestern, which used to be led by the former Princeton coach and Bill Carmody. How'd you end up, though, at Princeton? How'd you end up here?
Well, I wasn't really highly recruited early on in high school. I hit a growth spurt in between sophomore and junior year of high school that it helped me out a lot. And so at that point, I became a bigger guard, and some colleges started to take notice. But I knew I was looking for a school like Princeton, and like you mentioned, my coach is spent a lot of time in Northwestern practices where Coach Henderson used to be. So we were running the Princeton offense in high school. As soon as I took a visit to campus, I was hooked and loved the guys here, loved the coaching staff, and loved their plans for the future. So I couldn't wait to be a part of that.
Is that chip on your shoulder still with you when you play every minute on the basketball court?
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's something that sort of defines my game is, I'm trying to play as hard as possible every time I'm out there, and I'm always trying to prove something. That's not going to stop this weekend. We're at the Plustra.
When you look back at your college career, what was that one moment? Because we were talking about how you were under-recruited and you end up at Princeton and it was the perfect school for you. But when was that one moment earlier on in your career at Princeton that you thought to yourself, hey, I could really make something special out of this opportunity?
I think it happened pretty early on in the Ivy League season freshman year. We started off extremely slow. We were 0-4. And so Coach Henderson kind of shuffled things up a little bit. He threw me into some games, and I started contributing a little bit here and there, and that started to build my confidence from not really knowing anything to begin with as a freshman, and once that happened, I felt like I could really contribute, and haven't really looked back from there.
Now, I know that you're locked in and focused as we're talking to Stephen Cook, the Princeton senior forward for the Tigers that have won 17 in a row. But has it sunk in yet that, hey, there may only be a few games left in your basketball career here at Princeton, and how quickly this time has really flown by?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the moment really kind of hit last weekend when it was senior night, and it was my turn to walk down that tunnel and shake my teammates' hands at home for the last time. It was a special moment, definitely emotional. But, it's just reminding me to make the most of it each day because there's not much left. But, definitely going to make the most of it.
We have to send also our congratulations to you for your work off the court as you were named an All-State National Association of Basketball Coaches Good Work team member. And what does that award mean to you? And also tell me a little bit about the fundraising work, the independent fundraising work that you're doing in Sudan.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all that kind of started the summer between my sophomore and junior year when, a friend of mine, Jack DiMatteo, who attends LaSalle University, saw an article about the Goodell Mother of Mercy Hospital in Sudan. Long story short, it's basically the only hospital that serves a population of about 1 million people, and it's actually run by a former Ivy League athlete who played football at Brown. And so, the story really struck a chord with me, and me and my friend put our heads together and said, how can we help? What can we do to sort of help this hospital do the amazing things they were doing? So we started a fundraiser and, raised a bunch of money to support scholarships for doctors, basically to help out at that hospital. And so when the NABC award came, which Coach Henderson nominated me for, I was actually surprised I ended up winning because, 200 athletes were nominated from all across Division I, and I ended up being one of the 5 finalists. And so it was pretty amazing to be recognized in that way for the work I was doing.
Definitely is amazing. When you look at your career after college, and a Princeton degree means a lot, you are an economics major. How do you envision life after college for one Stephen Cook?
Well, as of right now, I'm hoping to continue playing after school, wherever I end up. So, that whole process starts after the season ends in terms of figuring out where I'm going to play. But right now, I'm just focused on making the most of the rest of the season. And, whatever happens after that, I'll figure out later. But just trying to enjoy the moment.
Well, let me get back to your schoolwork, your senior thesis, as you're a very erudite person. I was reading up a little bit about that. Explain it to me, because remember, I'm a radio talk show host, so I can't explain it as great as you probably could.
Well, basically, I'm looking at how social emotional skills in middle schoolers affect grades and test scores. And it's a pretty interesting topic nowadays with new measures that are going in to evaluate schools across the country. So, I'm hoping to contribute to that literature in some way. Still working on the findings. It's doing about a month, which is kind of creeping up, but it's been really interesting so far, and I've really enjoyed the process of that.
How do you manage your time of being a basketball player and then also your schoolwork?
It's tough sometimes, that's for sure. You're doing basketball for 35, 40 hours a week on top of, schoolwork here, and on top of, some of the other service work I've done. But, there's enough hours in the day for sure. As long as you get your sleep and you're just focused on what you're doing in the moment, I can usually get by.
Well, keep it up, Stephen. Once again, congratulations, and we look forward to seeing you play Saturday up against Penn at the Palestra. Thanks so much. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on.